Hello, everyone. And first of all, I would like to say thanks to AFA and for having and organizing this amazing conference. I've been here for a while, and I am very proud to see how this grow and how big and serious issues are that we are tackling at the moment. I'm Ljubica Vujović, and as Jelisaveta said, I am program manager at Microsoft Development Center in Serbia. But how I feel about my call and what my actual passion is. So I want to declutter, demystify, and solve problems with data. And that is something that I was have always been doing. In my previous position, I did that through data science projects with machine learning algorithms, with data science and analytics. And currently, I'm doing that as part of a team which is building analytics platform, which will actually enable other people to get insights from their data and to fuel up their businesses. And being I'm such a firm believer of data, and I grab it to get conclusions from the data, what data is telling us today is that we're not there yet. Numbers of girls in STEM courses, numbers of women in technology, numbers of women in cryptocurrency, numbers of women on leading positions. All these numbers are telling us that we are not there yet. And although there are very many interesting and very insightful initiatives, we need to think about the root cause. And this is what I would like to focus today during this panel. And with my panels, it will help me to actually figure out this question. Why I think the whole journey is very important, but I particularly feel that the beginning of the journey and the decision to go into something which is less traveled is a key to get success. As someone who graduated from electrical engineering and who was whole life in the tech, I encountered certain prejudice, biases, challenges. And although that was to some extent difficult and those are subtleties that you need to overcome, the thing that drove me forward was one thing: passion for solving problems. And that passion was very lightened up at the very beginning of my life, during the high school. I would like to see how we can facilitate lighting this fire in other people, how we can create supportive communities to get more women to do what is their passion, because when a fire is lit up, when you have that kind of passion yourself, all these biases, prejudices, and fears that you will have during your journey will become easier for you to overcome. And this is why I would like to focus today on this topic. And I will get help from my wonderful panelists. So I will start with the youngest one, Nina. Nina, you're a PhD student in vitro fertilization. And you're coming from Podgorica. You graduated, or you finished your master's degree on University of Oxford, and now you are at your PhD. I assume that not many, if any, in your surrounding actually wanted to pursue that kind of career. Can you tell me what made you become one? What made you go into embryology, and how this passion was born in your case?
Yes, hi everyone, and thank you, Ljubica, for inviting me, first of all. And you're absolutely right. Not many people, or any in my surrounding, has been passionate about embryology or in vitro fertilization, or IVF as short. And I cannot say that I was a little girl that knew I will do clinical embryology when I grow up. Of course not. I had passion for medicine and sciences, and it was actually and I knew that one day I will be doing something that is related to that, but I didn't know what it would be. So it was during the first year of my undergrad, I had a subject called embryology, And that's when I fell in love with the field. It was just very interesting to me, and still is, even though I'm a couple of years in the field. That just like two cells align and meet at the perfect time, and there is these so many reactions and so many different things need to happen in order for this to be achieved and for life to be created. So I was amazed by that, like, simple fact, but not really simple. And I knew that this is the field that I want to be in. I knew that I want to learn more how our organs are developed, how our body is functioning, and what if something happens during this crucial period of our beginning, what are the consequences? Because I was passionate about medicine and clinical side of the view, I thought it would be really good to combine these two, so science and clinical perspectives. So that's why I chose clinical embryology for my master's and went into this career, which is not very common, but should be, as the unfortunately infertility and need for fertility treatments is growing.
Amazing. Thank you, Nina. So what I'm hearing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, so you realized very early that you are passionate about hard questions, not easy to answer, about meaningful things, getting new life. But also you were very young at that point, so no one had opportunity to tell you, hey, you can't do this at that point, and you pursue that, and you're still pursuing that kind of career. I enjoy hearing that, and to continue with this track, we have another person coming from academia, Maja Stikić. She's now a data scientist and my colleague at Microsoft Development Center. She holds PhD in ML cognition for humans, and I would like to understand, Maja, what was your story? You were also in Nina's shoes, and you were also in academia, which is by definition something which is about exploring new theories, new technologies. And were you uncomfortable at some point of that academic career, and what made you persist through these situations?
Thank you, Ljubica, for inviting me. And yes, I was definitely in Nina's shoes. So basically how it all started, at the end of my studies, I studied electrical engineering here in Belgrade. I went for an internship in Germany in Fraunhofer Institute, and it was like pretty much research. So I realized that I really like doing that because it was very kind of interesting and new for me. And by the end of the internship, I had a talk with my mentor, and he asked me like, okay, would you like to pursue a PhD? And without much thinking, I mean, I was really young at that time, I said, yes, like, why not? And at that time, they didn't have actually the funding for me. So I came back to Serbia, and I started working in Institute Mihailo Pupin here in Belgrade. So it was completely different story. It was very like almost industry. We were working on a project for pay toll, basically system on highways in Serbia. And it was really like a learning experience for me. It was real world problems. So, you see ramp going up and down and displaying price and all that. So it was really cool. But after 1 year, I got an email from my mentor asking me, okay, are you still interested in doing a PhD? So again, without much thinking really, I said, yes, why not? And basically they got the scholarship for me. It was a scholarship for women in IT within Fraunhofer Institute. And I moved to Germany, like really, it was, now when I think about it, I'm not sure if I would be brave enough to do it all over again. Now when I know kind of how hard it is in the beginning, but I did it, and I definitely don't regret. I mean, it was really kind of a hard journey because just a few months after I moved to Germany, the institute where I worked closed down. And basically, I thought, okay, now I have to go back to Serbia. What do I do? But since they are really like very well organized, they took care of all employees, and I got the opportunity to switch to the university, which was actually very good for me because at this institute I was working on some abstract architectures for wearable computing, but it wasn't really my thing. And when I moved to the university, somehow things finally clicked for me because it was more like real world problems to recognize kind of human activities based on the sensors worn. So for example, this watch now is basically a result of my long research. So it was really kind of a right move for me. So I started publishing papers, and now when I think about it, it was really hard because there was lots of changes during the journey, but I wouldn't change it for anything.
Maya, for this. Thank you for this answer. And I like that I heard that basically that one supportive professor that got back to you and reoffered you like a PhD was someone who contributed greatly to your success. You know, someone there actually recognized your talent, your work, and probably grit, and that you will be very like good fit for this role, and supported you, which is also a thing that I would like to keep in mind during the journey. We need to be brave. We need to be decideful, like Maya was. She knew that she wanted to do it. She didn't give a second thought. But also we need some kind of push and support, and we need community which is, you know, cheering for our success and enabling these opportunities for us if we want to thrive. I'm continuing now to Darinka. Darinka, and I call her Daca because she's my very close friend and respected colleague from university. She is a site reliability engineer at Google. She finished undergraduate studies as an amazing student, and you decided to actually pursue software development role, which led you to actually get an offer from a tech giant Google. I wonder that at the very beginning, when you got an offer, did you had anyone who implied that you got an offer because you are a woman?
Unfortunately, yes, I did. And I have to be honest, at that point, it hurted me so much. It hurted me that much that I really started to doubt my qualities and my ability. And actually, I was afraid to mention it in front of the other people. I really thought in that moment that I'm kind of a fraud. And if I mention it in front of the other people that someone is questioning my offer, that other people will realize that I really wasn't good enough to like get an offer from Google and to start working over there. But to be honest, today I'm kind of proud that someone was challenging it, and I'm proud that I became the woman, the girl, or like just a female that managed to do it and to accomplish it. And I have to relate to Maya's story a bit because she had this professor to push her for like her career in PhD and so on. I had quite similar situation from like recruiters. I have been contacted at my final year of the bachelor studies by a recruiter from Google because I was attending some of their conferences and like applying for their summits and so on. So I have been in touch with some of them, and they asked me if I'm willing to like interview for Google. And at that point, I thought I'm not ready. I had to write my bachelor thesis, like all the final exams and everything. So we kind of postponed it. And a couple of months later, they reached out again to me. And at that point, I was like, okay, let's try it. There is nothing I can lose at this point. I don't have a job over there. And in worst case, I will not have it. I saw this interviewing opportunity as a chance to practice my like speaking, public interviewing and so on, like algorithm communication and so on. And at the end, I actually failed to fail because I really thought I will not get an offer that much that I even didn't inform any one of my friends and family members that I'm interviewing. And then one day I just called them and I said, oh, I got an offer and I'm kind of planning to move to Dublin and it will happen in like 2 months from now and so on. But in general, it was a really good experience, but I wouldn't make it if I didn't have anyone to push me to like pursue with that like interview and so on. And that's like one of the main reasons why today, as like someone who is like working in industry and so on, I advocate for like people to try, because there is nothing you can lose. Like the worst case, you will get some like valuable feedback. What are the things you need to improve? And next time you will have more experience and will be way more prepared for like the interview or like any other chance that is coming in front of you and so on. So yeah, like my main advice to like young people, no matter if they are like girls or boys, is that you always have to try, because every try is bringing you some value.
Thank you very much. I really like this kind of like growth mindset, which Daca definitely encompasses, because she's not about I can't do it. She's about, even if I'm not successful at this point, I will be next time. And this is only just opportunity for learning. And this is how I will approach to this, challenge, to this interview, to new job opportunity. I really enjoyed that one. And I enjoyed that we actually have the common opinion regarding the support that is necessary during the journey. I also cannot not to comment the situation and the fact that sometimes the people, even if you are courageous enough to pursue something that others are not doing, and others didn't apply that often to Google, I guess, that they think that you might be lucky. So the initial thought, the status quo is not, oh my God, you're so brave, but it might be that, oh, you're lucky. And sometimes that kind of opinion can even involve you to think so, even you shouldn't. And this is very important at the beginnings, when you have some opportunity. It is not about quota. It is not about being a girl in tech. It is about your talent, and you're the first one that needs to be convinced in that. Which brings me to my next speaker, Željka. Thank you for joining this panel. You're coming from a totally different field, like a very exciting field for me. You have your own company. You practice law for about 2 decades, and I'm interested in learning from you how we can create regulations, and if regulations will help in this situation to open more opportunities and to make these beginnings easier. And what is your personal thought on quota, for example?
Well, thank you, Ljubica, for having me. And I would just like to say that those ladies are really great examples of the people that are changing the world and the society. Of course, number of such people is limited, so we cannot expect that every person in the world can or shall have such power. But on the other side, having in mind that outcome of their work helps our society to make a progress. Believe it or not, every progress in technology in society must and definitely change even the regulation of the countries and the law. So I believe that the only way how to make a progress and how to participate in all those changes that are happening to our society is constant learning and also personal initiative for the development. And I believe that all those ladies confirm that only those 2 things, which are completely something that depends only on them, they fulfill that kind of condition. On the other side, society must be ready for such people and for such changes. And I also believe that sharing of the knowledge through various organizations. One of them is also your AFA mentorship program. And also sharing the knowledge shall be not based on these institutional things, but also it could be ad hoc, whereby all individuals can just decide to help to their neighbors, to their colleagues. And I think that's the way how we can all together make a personal progress.
Thank you very much for that opinion. I agree with you to like some extent, and I think that so we need to also work on supporting each other, even without some official channel, even without some mentorship program. You know, sometimes even 5 minutes of courageous and pep talk can help, you know, to push you to pursue some things. And I'm coming again like to Maja with a question. So you entered this very ambiguous path like academia for the first time. You rocked that, and then you decided to move to industry. So from academia, you're shifting to the pace of industry. What was behind that decision, and how did you handle that transition? Do you have any advice for anyone who is at that beginning right now?
Sure. So basically, my transition was gradual because after I finished my PhD in Germany, I decided to move back to Serbia because what I realized is I like research really, but kind of being in academia means by default, at least abroad, to move a lot from university to progress in your career. And I knew that I want to settle down at some point. So I decided to come back here without a clear idea what I'm going to do. And basically when I came, there was like literally 0 data science jobs at that time. So that was like back in 2009 here. But I was still looking, and I found one small tech company. It's called Advanced Brain Monitoring. It's a small startup that is doing both kind of, they're getting grants from governments, so doing research, doing kind of EEG studies, and at the same time, they're selling their EEG devices. So it was kind of a mixture of industry and research, and I really kind of learned a lot both for industry, like how it is working in the industry, although I was working as a researcher there, so I was still publishing papers, and it was kind of a nice transition because after a few years, I realized, okay, maybe I should try something else now. And I saw basically that Microsoft is looking for data scientists. And I was for the first time a bit hesitant, like, okay, how I'm going, because everyone knows it's very hard to go through that interviewing process and everything. But basically at that time, I had the support of my, well, at that time boyfriend, now husband, who told me, okay, you have nothing to lose, just try. You know, even if you get an offer, you will see if you want to accept it or not. And I tried, and basically now I'm in Microsoft for 4 years already. So it was really kind of smooth transition to industry, and now in Microsoft it's really amazing. Basically, we are learning new things every single day, and it's a great feeling that at the end of the day, basically you know that your ML models are kind of deployed and running on millions of databases across the world. So it's really, yeah, it was really nice transition, so to say.
Thank you. I really like the fact that like when you decided that something else is for you and that you want to try something else, you were very comfortable about like going and doing something else, because sometimes I think that especially women, they tend to lock themselves into one decision, and they tend to fear, oh my God, I decided this was my very thoughtful decision, I must now pursue it. And by the time we also change it, it is natural that we also change our preferences. And it is very important to keep in mind that when we change our preferences and when we decide that something else is now a better opportunity for us, that we're not afraid, to let something go, but we're actually very excited about opportunities that will come to us if we go into some other field. Thank you for that. And Darinka, you are now software development in software development role for 3 years. You had, I know, many successful projects. You mentored people. You have amazing feedbacks for your colleagues. So, what is challenging you now? How do you have this, push to be better each day? I'm interested in understanding. So whether is it like your individual push, or is it your surrounding, your amazing and bright, ambitious colleague, or is it system? Do we need system like Google to push us, or we can, even after years of good experience and of performance, we can still, find that fire in ourselves and still be pushy in order to achieve more?
So I first want to reflect to something what Maya and you have said about a woman being afraid to make a change in their life. And I have to be honest, I think it's also one of the biggest reasons, one of the biggest root causes why we are not having more women leaders. Because I noticed that for us, I identify myself as a woman, is way harder to make a risk in our life, because it's kind of coming from the cultural background that you should stick to what you know and not try anything else, not go to those less traveled roads. And when it comes about my experience at Google, I have to say that during those 3 years, I have growth quite a lot, as individual, as professional, as a follower, and as a leader as well. And when you asked, is it about me or is it about a system that I'm in? I think it's a team effort, because one of the things I noticed in this year and a half that has been really challenging for everyone is that a good leader is not just a person who is seeing the bigger picture, seeing the long-term goals and so on. A good leader is a person who teaches you how to lead and who teaches you how not to fall down, or even if you fell down, who is there to help you to stood up and to continue. During my first couple of months at Google, at my move here, a lot of things have been challenging, new country, new language. It was a Christmas season. I was on my own. I couldn't travel back to Serbia to spend time with my family and so on, and I was struggling quite a lot. And then one day I had a meeting with my tech lead at that point, and he asked me how I am. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Everything is going well. I'm just ramping up. And he was direct. He told me, you're not fine. Something is going on. Don't be afraid to speak about it. Tell me, I'm here to help you. It's a team effort. You're here because you are good enough. You are smart enough. You passed all of your interviews. So let's see how this company and how this team can be a place where you can grow, where you can challenge your ideas, where you can challenge others' ideas, and that we grow together, that we build something together. So all of my success in past 3 years are actually a team effort, because I believe my company has a good system to support this, but none of the systems is perfect, and we need to work through the system to kind of make it perfect for ourselves. So this is a place where kind of my personal passion comes through, but in general, I would say it's a team effort.
Thank you for this answer. I think, yeah, the systems and the supporting community is very important. But as you mentioned, I think that we also need to help a bit to give some inputs to our community, whether we would like to be supported and to be open, because sometimes, skilled manager, as you have it, will notice on their own and will approach you with a question, but sometimes someone wouldn't notice. And this is why we we also, need to be mindful and someone, give some sign for help if and when we need it. I also have this similar experience that when we are in supportive and to some extent, I would say ambitious surrounding, whether that be university or a company, that really helps me thrive. And it doesn't depend on the size of the company. So my first job was in this very, at that point, small local company called SmartCAD, but the people were so passionate, they were so driven, and that they kind of transferred that drive to me, and they accelerated my personal grit and craziness for the data, and they saw that as a benefit. So it was very kind of symbiotic symbiotic thing with us. I didn't even feel that I was working most of the times, and it was, as I mentioned, it was a small company. So I must emphasize being that we work in a big companies that have very trained and skilled people to support us, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a big company. We have amazing, environments and surroundings where we can also find support if we look for support. And Nina, you spent, when we are talking about support and excellent environment, you spent a year at University of Oxford, which is known for excellence, academic, and of course, prestigious alumni. What is one thing, if you can name it, I know there are many, but what is one thing that you learned there and that is, helping you be amazing each day? So if you can name one word, I know there are many.
Okay, I had amazing opportunity to spend 1 year in Oxford during my master's. And that year was truly magnificent. And I often described it as the hardest, but the best year of my life so far. And as you said, Oxford is top university and it's been #1 for 5 years in a row. And the knowledge that you can get there and the skills that you can get there are truly remarkable, and they're definitely helping me now in my PhD journey. However, I think if I would have to say one thing, is that Oxford also puts you through this personal journey where you learn a lot about yourself, about your qualities and your flaws, and the way you can change these flaws into your own advantages, and the way you could push yourself, and also the way you should always consider not to be in your comfort zone. And they showed us that it's okay that you take risks. It's good that you question, especially in science, for example. Critical way of thinking is very important, because even though some work is published, it doesn't mean that it's right, and you should always question the work, and not just people around you, but your own, and just look at everything objectively and try to improve, try to push the boundaries. Everybody's comfort zone stands at different levels. What might be very comfortable for me is very uncomfortable for somebody else. So I try every day to at least push my boundaries a bit, slightly, even if it's the slightest push, it's still significant for my overall development at the later stages of my life. So I think it's comfort zone pushing and critical thinking if I would have to choose. It's not one, but those two then.
Those two will work definitely. So we have again one more example that during your learning process, while you were learning your what will be your profession, you will also reminded about questioning things, pushing your boundaries, etc. So I would like to ask Željka how we do compared to the Europe on that question. How our systems are functioning? Do we have systems set in place which, besides teaching us fundamental mathematics 1, 2, 3, are teaching us, to maybe take care of ourselves, to nurture our, mental ability to keep on, etc. Can you comment on that?
From the legal perspective, Serbia is very modern and, progressive country. If all people are equal, but I think all other things are a matter of our mentality, and position of the woman in our society is not defined just by the law, but also the definition is given by our inheritance, culture, and mentality. And until we decide to change that and such things, I don't think that environment would be much different. And when I was talking about progressive of our legal system, I'd like also to mention, because it's very important, and I also believe that it can help development of a woman position in a business. The law on digital asset was enacted a few months ago, and according to that law, actually, we can use technology in order to issue digital tokens, which can be used for the financing of different business ideas. So I believe that in a way, by using technology, by using law and financial knowledge, and all those things together, can give very good opportunity for a woman to with some kind of business ideas, starting from individual and small businesses to all other kinds of businesses, to be able to be in some way able to create financial possibilities for their businesses. And also, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, and also having in mind that maybe for the women in our country which are not digitally familiar with many technologies, it can be a little bit discouraging, or they can be afraid of such things. But I think that all those things need to be presented in the right way, and in order not to be afraid of such possibilities of technologies.
Thank you. I really like what we learned here, and I also think that these kind of things can definitely support, and we can definitely invest more into creating financially supportive communities and businesses for women. Thank you all for your amazing answers and for participation in this panel. I would like to have some conclusions on the topic that we had here. So what we heard, and I mean what I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, so we kind of know what is our thing, and we kind of learned that. So women are like by nature, they're curious, they are, they want to investigate things, and that's how we do. And but sometimes during the journey, we start doubt, in ourselves, and during that doubt, it is very important if we have someone who is supporting us. So we heard that someone had supportive hiring managers, someone had supportive, professors, etc. So it is very important to also, besides investing in our knowledge, we invest in our community, and we create, support cycle for us. Someone who will, occasionally remind us, hey, you're doing fine, just keep doing it, and don't forget, why you started, etc. We sometimes need to be comfortable to say that what we were interested at the beginning is not interesting to us anymore, and to be brave to step out and to get and to look for more opportunities. And this is how we grow, and this is by facilitating that kind of fire, fire for change. This is how we will actually be in the C-level and in all other levels that are missing, women. What I also would like to hear, to anyone who is listening to this panel, is that supportive communities are there, and that when you think that you're alone, you're not. You can find it within your company, you can find it, with this organization, you can find it in your friend, but you need to be, again, a bit brave to ask. And as we heard, there are also many regulations and potential efforts that will enable us to do more on this field. But in order to, facilitate that, we need to keep up with our good work, and we need to be also examples for that kind of energy that is, still moving boundaries in every possible way. Thank you, everyone, for this panel, and I hope you enjoyed.